Don't look now. The Warriors are tied for the 10th seed. Hey, you got to start somewhere, right? You got to start somewhere the way this Western Conference stacks up. But they head into this back end of a back-to-back against this Thunder team who's just rolling everybody, right? They're running away with the 1 seed. And it was like, hey, maybe we can stay competitive. Maybe just play the young guys and hang around, make it an entertaining game. And that's what it looked like it was going to be through the first half. Even though, you had some good efforts and stuff, it was like, we don't have the firepower to match these guys. SGA, what do you have, like 31 at the half? And it was that third quarter that changed things. But let me go back a second here, because I think the story headed into it was Quentin Post getting his first start in the NBA, Trayce Jackson to the bench. And I'm all right with QP getting kind of the Zaza start. Play the first 4 minutes, see what it looks like. If it's a bad matchup, maybe you don't see much of him. And as I suspected, I think what OKC targeted and what we're going to see with Quentin is he struggles with a hard rolling big man. If a big, you saw Isaiah Hartenstein on the first possession of the game, set the screen and roll hard for the lob. And I think he has trouble backpedaling to that lob if a guy really rolls hard and looks for that lob. And so that's something that he's going to have to figure out. But in comes Looney, Kevon Looney. Hey, listen, Luna's in his prime. And I'll say this about Trayce. That there has been a crowd that kind of like, I read the comments and they're like, what are you talking about? Trayce isn't this. And there is a crowd of Dub Nation that feels like Trayce is the center of the future. And then they really push back when I say that I don't think he is. That's not to say that Trayce can't be a role player and a useful player, but it's like, nah, he's hurting us specifically with his lack of finishing around the rim. And Looney goes for 18, 4 blocks, 8 of 9 from the foul line. And just, I had been hinting at this. Those that follow the breakdowns and just through the year, the content throughout the season, I've been like, are we sure? Like, remember when Looney got benched like a few weeks ago? It's like, are we sure Trayce helps us more than Looney? Like, I get we're trying to move towards the future, right? But let's rewind a little bit here, because rest in peace, Decky, right? That was such a crazy event last year that I probably goes overlooked in how the overall season ended up. Right? But when the Warriors originally hired Decky, it was because of James Wiseman, right? And I believe he was one of the most expensive assistant coaches you could get. Like, they gave him a really good amount of money to come mentor and coach young James Wiseman as a big man coach. Obviously, that didn't work out, but you know who reaped the benefits of Decky? Kevon Looney, right? We all remember a time when Looney would catch the ball on the roll or in the dunker spot, and it was like, oh boy, here comes about a couple pump fakes and a missed shot or a block, right? That is no longer the case. He's finishing left-handed and ones, pumps, he's got English, he's got touch around the basket. And it was very clear last night that, I think it kind of stuck out, how much Trayce maybe is hurting us with his inability to finish when he catches the ball at the rim. To be fair to Trayce, OKC, not a big team, especially without Chet, right? They don't have a ton of rim protection. So that played towards, Looney's favor of doing this. But to me, he was the player of the game. That was the story. And as much flack as we give Kerr for his rotations and stuff that doesn't make sense, if Trayce stayed in that starting role and played his 15, 20 minutes, we don't get that Looney performance. And ultimately, we probably don't get that win last night. And so again, it's not to write off Trayce long-term, but it almost seems like he's one of these guys where you have to sit him every now and then to remotivate him, right? But he has to work on his finishing as far as just a pump fake, a pivot, a spin move might work well. But, I'm all right with him, his minutes getting cut back, at least maybe till the All-Star break, and see Post get some minutes, right? As well as Slow-Mo. Slow-Mo, I don't think it's fair to judge Slow-Mo because he hasn't really got any opportunity or rhythm, but I think he's perfectly capable of playing some 5 minutes, and you saw him hit that big turnaround last night, right? That was the moment where it's like, oh, we're going to win, aren't we? When Slow-Mo hit the fadeaway at the end of the clock, it was like, oh, we're probably going to win this game, huh? It feels like it, right? And so there's that at the center position. I just got done yesterday saying, hey, don't want to move Wiggins, not for Jimmy Butler. Like, I don't know about for Zach LaVine either. Like, Andrew Wiggins has slowly but surely become the number 2 option that we're looking for. Now, is it sustainable? How good would he look as the number 3? But he's been adding these wrinkles to his game. Like he's finishing, he's going to the left hand. The little bunny over the left shoulder is automatic, and then the 3 balls. He had that dagger there at the end of the clock and in front of the Warriors bench, right? And, typically in the years past, Andrew Wiggins' threes for the Warriors are always that wing weak side or corner weak side. He's stationary. He takes the open look. The threes that Wiggins is taking and making this season, they're on another echelon. They're on a different level. They're off movement. They're contested. And that's one of the reasons I believe he's amongst the league leaders in 4-point plays. That just gives you an insight to the types of threes he's taking and making. And so now it's been a sustained month of this where he's given us 20 and 5, guarding the best player, right? And he's just, you can't move him. You can't move him for a maybe guy. That's the bottom line. And last night, it kind of looked like what you'd hope it looked like on paper, where you get a strength in numbers group effort. Steph's struggling until he's not, right? The young guys in the depth carried until Steph got going, as opposed to we come out in these games and it's like, Steph, carry us just so we can stay connected, and then Steph doesn't have the juice to end games, right? This is how you draw it up. And OKC, they make a lot of teams look bad with their athleticism and their effort level. And, you saw, I think where you're seeing Steph struggle or show his age most is when he gets downhill at the basket. And I think it's 2 things. One, he is going to be 37, right? He's never been like this super vertical athlete. But 2, I think he's protecting himself more, especially with the thumb. He doesn't want to take a fall. And so you're seeing him just with these kind of like old man flip shots. But I thought that, listen, we got to talk about Buddy Hield here. That's another big part of this game, because him starting again, he almost single-handedly let the Thunder get out to that start with a couple turnovers, a couple bricked threes, right? And like the Steve Buddy relationship, it's like a barber's relationship with a balding man. It's not to be trusted. I think we all understand that, but it's only right to give credit where credit is due, because start of the second half, Buddy was a catalyst in that 4 or 5 minute run that flipped the game. He has a great closeout to the corner. He has a hit ahead to GP2 for a layup. He gets a steal. He makes another bounce pass to Looney on the roll. He hits a 3. He drives baseline. And whenever you have a player that's struggling to the level that Buddy's struggling at, for him to have that sequence of minutes, I think it gave the entire roster, Steph in particular, some juice. Like, oh, if Buddy's going to wake up and actually like give us somewhat of who he has been, then things can change. And so I thought his juice and his start to that third quarter was a big part of it. And I wanted to acknowledge that. Now, he only played 15 minutes, Steve. Maybe that's the key. 15, 20-ish minutes, right? As Pods continues to look real Kyle Lowry-ish. That's my new comp for Pods. And I've thrown that out there before. He's a little bigger, but I just think overall, that's with the archetype of guard I'm thinking. This crafty, feisty, going to win 50-50 balls, defend, hit big shots, just do all the little things. I think that's a perfect blueprint for him. And as he strings together these games and these performances, it's 4 in a row now, means less Buddy. But I wanted to acknowledge that Buddy played a part in this win last night. SGA. What'd he shoot? 21 free throws? And I had people, atting me on Twitter like, do you enjoy this? Like, is this bad? Here's how I see it. When you look at these elite foul merchants across the league, SGA probably draws the least amount of actual contact, right? Like he's getting the most phantom whistle where it's like, did you really even get touched there? Like there's not a big bump, right? Joel is probably the nastiest to watch, where you're like, dude, is this even basketball, right? And then Luka and Brunson, as annoying as it is, probably legitimately draw the most fouls, where you're like, well, you kind of got to call it. Like he got the guy in the air, there was a big bump, and he put the shot up. And it's annoying, but you're like, well, it was kind of a foul. That's how I see it, right? Now, in today's NBA, with the 3-ball and the way scoring is, it's a little different, right? I don't know what the stats are, but watching basketball for, 35 years now, generally, when a guy has a 50 ball, it usually means it wasn't great for the team overall. It's just not natural, right? And you looked at he and J-Dub took like 50 combined shots. And so Listen, the Thunder, I had brought this up before, like, is Caruso ever going to be healthy? He rolls an ankle early. Chet is set to return. But if they don't get a healthy Chet Holmgren for their playoff run, I don't think they can win the chip because they don't have enough rim protection. You saw Loon look like prime Zebo last night in the paint, right? So they need that in SGA. I think he's well on his way to that MVP, but the playmaking, and then the other thing that I'll be curious about with SGA is late in the game, GP2, I have to mention him. What do you have, like 15 and 9? The gang rebounding and gang effort is fun to watch. So GP2 is picking him up in the backcourt late and face guarding him. And it got me to thinking, like, in a playoff series, what does SGA look like when he gets the Steph treatment? When someone's picking him up 94 feet from the basket, they're not letting him catch the ball. They're sending two on any ball screen. Will he fight to get open? And I'm not saying he won't, but we haven't really seen that yet. And so I'm curious with that moving forward. But yeah, OKC, they got to get Chet back because they don't have enough rim protection as dominant as they've been in this regular season. But yeah, man, win of the year, maybe. I don't know. Something to build on, that's for certain. Dennis Schroeder is starting to play with more pace. He's starting to play more of a Warrior. You got to give him a lot of credit for adapting. And I know that he prides himself in playing in all these different systems, and you're seeing it. You're like, oh, he's actually, because for a while there, I was like, dude, I don't know if it's in him. Like, he's a 30-year-old guard. I think he kind of plays how he's adapting. He's playing quicker. He's attacking quicker. It's just one win. It counts just the same as the Bulls win, not to sound like Fitz, right? But super encouraging. We move on to this Suns matchup Friday, where we're tied with them for the 10th spot. And it goes without saying, the connection between the teams, the division rivalry, or one of them, right? And if you could get that one and you look at these standings, if they can run off 4 or 5 wins in a row, they're right back in the mix. How does that make you feel about the trade deadline? Like, are you going to throw Loon in a trade now after that performance? I don't know, man, right? But again, it's a one game at a time thing. But I think it's encouraging that they're refining their identity as a team that's going to outplay you, meaning like 50-50 balls, hustle, pace. They were 18-5 in fast break points. It seems like they're refining their identity as they get, as hopefully we get healthy here. And if we can get these contributions, if Wiggins can give us 20 a night, Schroeder is going to get, is going to be another guy that can give you points, lessens the load for Steph, and allows nights like last night where he can close the deal. He can get going late and take it home for us. Now, Underdog Fantasy, time is running out. If you aren't playing with us, you get a 50% bonus on your first deposit up to $1,000. That offer is fading quickly. It's not going to be around forever. So use the link in the description. Sign up. It helps the channel. I will be giving out Warrior picks here probably, I want to say, after the deadline, when we can settle into a rotation. Now, they've got a 20% boost on several NBA scoring picks tonight. They always have profit boosts and bonuses that you can check for, but you can check for my picks moving forward as we settle into a rotation. And again, it's always a great way to support the channel. That's Underdog. Link will be in the description. But yeah, man, it's encouraging, right? I like the change at center. I'm curious to see what that looks like. And as Pods, continues to build with his confidence and momentum, Pods and Schroeder backcourt. And if the Warriors could get a Zach LaVine, and we can talk about how much that's going to cost and all that, but if they could get an Aaron Nesmith, if they could get a bigger 2-guard that you could start next to Steph who can defend, the second unit backcourt of Pods and Schroeder, you want to talk about demon time? Like, they're going to win that matchup most nights, right? That second unit backcourt. And so as Pods continues to build the confidence and show us who he really is, I think it's all the more reason to show us a little less of Buddy, right? As always, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.